it all comes down to like the impact. And I think with a lot of younger generations, what we find too is that's what they're seeking is how, they want to make a difference. They are great people. They're caring people. But sometimes they don't get the opportunity to feel that they're making a difference or to create an impact. I think sometimes being in a big company or a corporate role, you don't actually, I have so many of my friends that go through this college route, get this great job that they thought they were thriving for, but they just don't have that feeling of fulfillment. They don't have that feeling that they're creating an impact, and it is tough. And I think I hope there will be more opportunities for people to be able to make that difference. And it's great that we're able to make that difference. I'm so thankful for it.
I am Christina Suter, and this is the Real Estate Breakthrough Show, where we talk about the reality of real estate, the mindset you need in order to face the reality of what it is, and tips and tricks to get you moving forward in investing. I am your host, Christina Suter. And I have a brand new guest for you, brand new to me as well, as Franco Perez. And I found he actually approached me on being on the show, but when I saw his I wouldn't call it his reel, but basically his sort of intro video, I went, he's our kind of person. So I've invited him to be on the show, and I look forward to finding out about him, just as you guys are finding out about him. But basically, I think his background is part of what stands out to me, and his mindset. Because as you know, guys, mindset and being willing to get past the limitations of whatever it is you grew up in, finding yourself, being willing to embrace financial freedom, transformation, and abundance, and moving forward in your life, and using real estate, that sense of grit that can come from a hard background and knowing you can get past it, using that grit to then use real estate to get to your goals of freedom and transformation is what I'm all about. And I think we've got another winner who's got that similar mindset.
Wow.
So Franco,
Thank you so much. And I'm so excited to be here.
Well, Frank and I have been talking for a total of 3 minutes. So I asked him the question. I said, what do you need to know about this crazy lady who's going to interview you for the next 40 minutes? And I think that statement alone was probably enough for him to know, oh, okay, I get who this chick is. That's all right.
I love the energy.
I can hang with her.
And it's amazing. I'm pumped for bringing value as much as we can. Yeah,
that's what it's about, using our story to bring value to others. Absolutely. So bottom line, let's give us the bottom line story of your history and what took you from who you were.
Wow. So there's a lot to be said. And I guess part of it is really coming from the Philippines. Growing up at a young age, coming from the Philippines was a big part of my life. And I think, it helped me realize different perspectives from different countries as well, right? When I was growing up in school, in elementary school or whatever, I still remember this day, this confusion of like, hey, why am I going to school? And why are some other friends in my age not going to school? They're out selling cigarettes on the street. They're out trying to just make a living and survive. And I think that's an important element that is the perspective, right? If we're always growing up in the same area, it's sometimes hard to appreciate and be grateful for the situations we have, right? But knowing that that there are people out there that have a bad situation is a big perspective shift. But that being said, moved here from the Philippines, have immigrant parents, was in a weird situation where my parents split up. My mom was not really working at the time. My dad was a main breadwinner, and my dad fled the country. And it was just me, my single mom, and my younger sister. And at 17, 18 years old, I had to quit school and start working right away. I somehow managed to get into being a real estate agent. And from there, I did pretty well because I was in this survival mode. I had to do anything I had to do to make a commission at that time. I learned everything that I had to learn to just wake up every morning, door knock, cold call, all the dirty work that's possible. And I did really well. But there was a moment in my life where I just really hated this job. And the main reason why I hated this job was because, yes, I was, I was being trained as an agent to help the wealthiest people I can help get the most expensive homes that they can get, and get their third, their fourth property as a rental investment. But I had to, unfortunately, turn away those that were in the shoes that I was in when my family was trying to survive. I had to say, hey, unfortunately, you don't make enough money, you don't have enough saved down payment. So when you make more or save more, I can help you later down the line. But the truth is, I was in those shoes. When I was working full time trying to make ends meet with rent. I remember how painful it was, and I remember thinking that it was impossible to ever even just save money to even have an opportunity to one day keep up. And just keeping up with the rat race alone is already so difficult enough, right? So I left being a regular real estate agent for a while. I reflected. I got into exploring government housing, affordable housing, how that works. Come to find out, there's a lot of fake affordable housing that I didn't love. And I randomly came across
Mhm.
mobile home
Mhm.
parks by accident. Um,
Mhm.
from what I thought mobile home parks were, I thought they were a horrible place with criminals and bad quality homes and that sort of thing, because that's all we know and see in the media. And we have all these bad stigmas and bad
Mhm.
myths about it, that they never appreciate, that they're probably a bad investment and that sort of thing. But come to find out, after deep exploration, it became a perfect tool for families that want to get out of that rat race. And long story short, got into
Mhm.
helping people get out of renting into mobile home ownership, and then from mobile home ownership into real estate. And now we convert old mobile homes into gigantic 2,000 square foot, 3 bed, 2 bath homes with 12-foot high ceilings and as modern as could be. And that's what I know that was kind of a long story, but that's where we're at today and what got us to where we're at today.
Well, I think it's, what's important is that moment inside of your history where you go, real estate can be my pathway for myself and maybe others
Yes.
to financial freedom. And do you remember that moment or that month or that year where you went, yes, this is where I need to double down. This is what's going to let me get to my financial freedom.
Yes.
Um,
So I think
where
the
was that for you?
moment really was the pain that I had to go through when my dad left. I think when my dad left, we could barely even afford rent in our area. We, I was working 2 jobs. My mom was working part time, and just at the end of every single month, I remember the pain, because I even had to borrow money from friends. I even borrowed money from my old boss at the time just to make ends meet with rent. And I remember thinking, why is life like this? Why is it that the poor have to struggle like this and the rich get to have benefits of home ownership? And I think it was that realization that the system's kind of off, and the system doesn't really share this equal opportunity that we say America to be, that it should be, right? And unfortunately, there is this wealth gap. And there's not only a wealth gap, there's also a knowledge and information gap. And there's so much that I wish I knew back then that can help me get out of that rat race and build that financial freedom and financial security back then. And the answer is yes, is that for most people, it starts with housing, it starts with real estate. Um, but it can really tie into
Mhm.
anything around cash flow. But a lot of this information of managing money, managing cash flow, understanding real estate and loans and all that stuff, it's so weird that it's not taught in school. It's so weird that it's very much conversated about when you talk with wealthy friends and that sort of thing, but it's not common ground when I was growing up, and being middle class or low income. And that's why we try to educate as many people as we can on our YouTube channel of what are the differences of renting and owning and that sort of thing.
My next question is, what in your history helped prepare you for your success today? And I think one of the things we talked about is that those moments, that hardness that you faced, is what's in your history that prepared you to be successful today. You know, The Jay Massey
Uh,
calls it making a decision, and that not everybody knows what it means in that moment where you make the decision, and the rest of your life is different from that decision point forward, where you decide whether you're going to, in your case, it may have been a decision where you decide to be in poverty, to be resentful, overwhelmed, stuck in, confused by, or you decide you're going to, do what it takes to do multiple jobs, to master an industry, to really take on the fight, to say, we're not going to stay in this state. We're not going to stay in poverty. We're not going to stay in desperation. We're going to choose. And I'm wondering if maybe that is a big part of your success today. And if it is, how does that play out today? How does that change you today that you know what
yeah.
that
To
decision
to be
means?
honest with you, growing up as a kid, I kind of went along life thinking I was working the hardest that I could. That was my assumption. But it was really, I think it's a privilege that I
Okay.
went through that hard moment of failure. And it was really the survival mode of knowing that me and my younger sister and my mom were going to get kicked out of a home if we don't make things happen. Right. And it was only until that moment that I decided I have to take control of this, that I can actually do more. I can learn more. I can make more, because I have to. And I think it's interesting because some people
Hmm.
never get past that drive or get that drive, right? But I don't think I would have reached that drive either. But it
Yeah.
was the most painful part of my life that forced me to become this person that was driven. And that survival element is what got me to make that decision to be, not only be better, but be more resourceful. When you don't have money and you don't have resources and you don't have a mentor or that sort of thing, you end up having to become resourceful. I learned from as much as I could on YouTube
Yeah.
about communication, and I learned from books. I didn't have the privilege to go to college, but um, it was a big shift.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for reflecting on that, answering that question. It can be hard and a bit vulnerable to be able to go, yeah, it was the hard time. And it was a hard time.
Mhm.
And it really was a hard time. And I really did have to push myself through it. And I had to find a better, deeper, grander self than I thought I was, or that I thought I needed to be, or I thought I could be. And those are not comfortable moments. The whole conversation about being brave isn't feeling brave. When you're being brave, you never feel brave. What you feel is freaking terrified. That's what you feel, right? And so it's like an oxymoron, right? Like we have all these movies about what does it be brave? What does it mean to be brave? Let's go for it. And it's like, but the moment of being brave doesn't
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
anything like that. It feels like you're terrified and afraid and you're fighting for your life and you're scratching through it and you're standing up and finding the best piece of grit inside yourself you can possibly find and you feel afraid, but you choose to be brave. You choose to not
Hmm.
stop.
Yeah.
So maybe you didn't feel brave when you were making the bravest
Mhm.
decisions in your life to take care of yourself and your family and to step forward and to double down. And maybe you felt small. But the truth is, you were being the biggest person that you probably knew yourself to be in those
Yeah,
moments.
yeah, possibly. It's interesting
Yeah.
reflecting on that.
Well, thank you for letting me play. I appreciate it. I have an agenda. My agenda is hopefully to have other people hear this message and what it means. Right? What does it mean to them when they're not feeling brave? They're feeling small. They're feeling overwhelmed, and they're choosing
Mhm.
to not give up. Like you chose to not give up, and that's part of the poignancy of your story is that
and
you chose to
and I
not
feel
give
like
up.
it unlocked a character that I never thought I would be too. And what's interesting is, if it was just me and surviving myself alone, I don't think I would have really have been awakened and driven. But knowing that, imagining my sister not being able to go to school anymore, that is really kind of what was like,
Mm.
shoot, you got to be, it's no longer about just me, myself, but it's more that my sister's relying on me.
Yeah. 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 I'll share something I don't think I've ever shared on a podcast ever. So my daughter had leukemia. She's 13 now and she's fine. But she had leukemia, so we had to go through cancer treatments for almost 2.5 years. And what she tells me is that the thing that kept her alive was that she didn't want to die because she didn't want to leave me. And she didn't want me to be sad. It wasn't about her leaving me. It was that she didn't want to leave. She didn't want me to have to face the sadness of losing her. And so when you talk about being brave and what is it that really has us dig in to find the grit to survive, whatever it is we're surviving, it's amazing how we will do it for others almost faster, deeper, stronger than we'll do it for ourselves.
That gave me goosebumps because that's kind of how I feel too. But I can only imagine how that would feel.
I can only imagine as well because it wasn't my journey. I just sat with her. It was her journey. She's the
Yeah,
one who had to make the choice. She had to choose what her life was going to be. And I feel honored and privileged. It's a hard path.
yeah.
There's no question it's a hard path. But she was a rock star.
That's
So, wow. Okay, that got really deep.
thanks for sharing that. Yeah,
Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate you holding the space for that. So, secret sauce of your company. So you bring you. I'm a great believer that the secret sauces of our companies is what we bring to it. So you bring a secret sauce to your company, and part of it is your history and who you are. So tell me how that translates into your company. How does it create the secret sauce of your company that it's led by you with the culture that you
yeah.
bring?
I'm so proud of my team because I think there's an element of our energy. I'm so thankful for the people that we have because it really just started with me, and then next was just me and an assistant at the time. But and I mean this not just to say this, but after doing well and being an agent, I really did not have any excitement for money at all, and I feel like it was bringing me a path I did not want to be going towards. And when we started doing mobile home transactions, business wise, it made zero sense to go that route because it's ton more work for less pay and that sort of thing. But what really drove me is seeing that we're able to help a family that was never able to afford real estate get a step out of that rat race. And just knowing, and I still get tears of joy thinking about every single client, or when I see a client, so thankful and so grateful because they knew that they would never have been able to afford it, or would have never been able to make a step ahead if it weren't for our team. Right. And we celebrate these moments, and that's what we celebrate, not never the numbers that we make or that sort of thing. And I think there's too many people that chase, hey, we want to make X amount a year, we want to make X amount of volume and that sort of thing. Whereas for us, we want to help families, and we want to help as many families as we can start their generational wealth building journey that might have never been able to have that opportunity. And I say this because our team is so driven by impact and so driven by helping others that we always make those decisions. There's always these moments where it's like, hey, what's the right thing to do? And they always do the right thing. And they always go above and beyond to help those that really need it. Right. And prioritizing the families and prioritizing what would help them best. And I think that energy is so important. It's always been important to me in any hire and anything that we do, that we always do what's right for the people. And um, that's why I love it. I think it's what drives all of us. And when we surround ourselves with people that think the same way and that feel the same way, man, I just got to get out of their way sometimes. They're just like, we have, how do we do more? How do we scale this so that we can help more families be able to do more? Because in a weird way, it's addicting. You see a family that's that's of tears of joy. It's like, that's the best fulfillment. That's the best compensation I can ever have. That's the best payment you can ever give me. Not a check, not a commission, none of that. But seeing a family be so grateful and knowing that you've helped their kids feel more financially secure and less stress and all of that, that is that is the best fulfillment, if you ask me.
I agree. I work both as a consultant and I run my meetings, and the moment I live for is when they light up in awareness that they can do something for themselves or they can do something to make their lives better. That moment when I see the light go off inside of them, I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
there we go. Now they're going to make a difference for themselves and others. Now they're going to feel like they can take that next step. Now they know where their freedom can be for them. I'm like, that's the joy, right? That's for me. That's the joy. That's
Mhm.
the moment.
So yeah, it's I love it so much,
Oh,
and that's honestly what drives me, you know, to work hard, to get through those brave moments, those days that I don't want to work, to those people that I don't want to talk to make things happen.
mhm.
You know, it all comes down to like the impact. And I think with a lot of younger generations, what we find too is that's what they're seeking is how, they want to make a difference. They are great people, they're caring people, but sometimes they don't get the opportunity to feel that they're making a difference or to create an impact. I think sometimes being in a big company or a corporate role, you don't actually, I have so many of my friends that go through this college route, get this great job that they thought they were thriving for, but they just don't have that feeling of fulfillment. They don't have that feeling that they're creating an impact, and it is tough. And I think I hope there will be more opportunities for people to be able to make that difference, and it's great that we're able to make that difference. I'm so thankful for it.
Yeah, me too. To shift a little bit, it is also our responsibility to help people and help our company stay financially sound so we can keep doing what our goal
Mhm.
and mission and vision is. So talk a little bit about how you're going to keep your company financially sound moving forward, how you can continue to help others. What do you guys do to on that sort of financial front, whether it's for your company or setting
Yeah,
up your clients for
absolutely. So
success?
basically, it's interesting. I live in the Silicon Valley, um, and I think so. Sustainability is the most important thing. We got to make sure that we're being profitable. And what I love about business is that it's very much a giant Rubik's cube or a puzzle piece, right? It's all about figuring out. Yes,
It really
and
is.
and
Totally. Yeah. Because there's all you want to give over here, and then there's the financial stability over here and sustainability, and then there's impact over here, and then there's employees down here, right? It's like we got to keep the whole thing moving together so that everybody
absolutely,
keeps winning on all
absolutely, and
fronts.
and it really is a balancing act of making sure everyone wins as well, and that's where entrepreneurship is really important. And how do we trade value, not dollars? I think we get distracted too much by dollars, but how do we trade value to make it a win-win, like six different ways, right? For, like you mentioned, the employees, for the business,
Mhm.
for the clients, for the park owners, for the vendors that we work with. Are we providing a puzzle piece of value to be able to allow for everyone to thrive, everyone to win, right? And I know we always measure with dollars, but if we create a problem, if we create a solution for a problem, that brings value. And that value that's given, people will provide dollars and cents. And then that dollars and cents will be brought back to the business, to the employees, so that we can continue to provide value. And what it ends up being is a cycle of value going and spinning across and creating a much larger snowball of value. And that's kind of how I see it, is that's our sustainability. And it's a mix of everything too. It's another element is how do we maximize the effort that we put in and create the most value from it, right? It's through creating systems and processes. And I'm the least I actually am very against structure for some weird reason, but having better systems and better checklists and better um, processes is what allows for us to do things at scale as well, right? And that's what's allowed for us to do more with less time and less people and be able to scale that as well. So those are a few big pieces of the puzzles that I'd say.
Cool. Let's jump to, we're getting further out into sort of the business mindset. So I think we're going to have sort of an upcoming tough time, right? One would say an upcoming recession. How do you think you're going to direct your company towards being prepared for that? Now, in your case, because you are dealing with mobile homes, it actually might be to your advantage, since mobile homes usually are more attractive as people face tougher times. So tell me about how you're gearing your
Yeah,
company
I
for
think it's
this.
very that what you said is very true, and I don't know how to say this, but it's always something that we've been driving through, and like you said, I've always been a statistics nerd, and I know that this problem that we're having is
Good.
so crucial, but it's so weird that I can see that this is a huge problem, and so a few of us can see that this is a big problem that's going to happen. And how do we fix that, right? And I want to lay out the problem really is that one is the affordable
Okay.
housing issue. The other is there's this weird thing that they're calling the silent depression, right? There's the cost of living, the cost of housing, all of this stuff is going up by a huge percentage, but the median income is not going up by that same ratio. And
Mhm.
affordability for not just housing, but anything that's manufactured, anything that's created is not no longer becoming attainable, right? So that's a big element. And then the other part is big reason why home ownership is very expensive is because the way construction is being done, it's been the same that it's always been done for over 100 years. Everything that we do in manufacture has been improved and that sort of thing. So if we think about cars, for example, it was really only built for the rich and wealthy, only until we built them on a streamlined fashion and an assembly line and a process driven way that we were able to get cars
Mhm.
accessible to everybody. And that's exactly what we're doing with mobile homes. We're building these homes in factories, we're building these homes on an assembly line, and with that we're creating a great quality product at the end of the line that is affordable, it's cheaper, it's we're using less materials, we're using less labor, and we're getting more homes out. And that's what we have to do to really innovate and change the way that we build homes. If you think about it, our laptops, our phones, everything is now built in a factory because that's the best way to build it. And but housing, for some reason, we still transport lumber all to the site, we transport labor to the site, we have so much waste that we have to transport multiple ways, but we're not changing the way we build homes. And that's what we have to do. And that's why we're building them now in factories and changing the way that it's been done. Not only that, but the skilled labor that builds these homes, they're 45 years and older, they want to retire soon. They want to get out of the industry. And we don't have young kids that are excited about getting in, working with a hammer or being a construction worker, right? We're going to have this huge labor shortage of building homes as well. And if we don't fix that now, it's already horrible as it is. It's only going to get worse.
Mhm.
And I don't mean to be um, to cause fear in anyone, but unfortunately, it's the reality of what things are. And I think with that, it's so important that we, whether it's our company doing mobile homes or whether it's us building modular stuff, anything towards affordable housing is something that we know is a value piece for anyone, and that's kind of how we see the future of housing and where it needs to be. um, I don't feel, and you're right, I do feel that our housing sector is going to be strong when they're restrained it from not being able to afford housing. It's always going to be a need. So I don't really have that fear in our business in particular. But I do want to express that problem because I hope that others do it as well. You know, others realize that as well.
So should for those of you guys who are watching this on YouTube, Amazon TV, Roku TV, and Apple TV, I
Oh,
just wanted to
cool.
show your website. So because you should be able to see it, right? So start your dream home, be the most trusted name in mobile homes, mobile home upgrades, right? We replace your old mobile home to increase the value, right? Newer, old or newer mobile homes, we provide you the best advice to get maximum value out if you're selling your house. Buying a used or new mobile home, we're committed to help you find. And that's really what your company is about, right? Our mission, building dream homes. So you guys physically build homes and help place them on
Hmm.
lots,
Exactly.
right? And the point is, and what I think makes your company so distinctly different is really what you just talked about, which is being able to build a quality home. You have a whole video on it, right? Showing a condo versus a mobile home, right? Building a quality home that has the value, that is beautiful, that has what the family is looking for, and creating that and
Hmm.
helping to put that on the lot and really creating almost like a custom dream home for people who wouldn't even
Yeah.
necessarily
Yeah.
thought they could afford a home.
And what's beautiful about it is it's an already existing infrastructure that's throughout our country. There's mobile home parks everywhere in the country. It's just we don't know about them, right? I've grown up in San Jose for several years. I didn't know that there were over 60 parks in our county, right? And they're in very metro
Right.
areas like San Jose. Like in our area, people are, you know, two-bedroom apartments are going for $3,400 a month for rent. The median single family home price is at $1.5 million, right? And there's nothing, you know, how does someone that's renting ever dream of coming up with that payment to come up with to purchase a piece of real estate unless they had parents that had a home before or that can help support them to get it? It's virtually impossible. Teachers are moving out of the area. They're living an hour and a half away and commuting to be a teacher. It's such a sad world in many metro areas. I know the numbers I'm saying are probably the highest in the country, but the ratios in other metro areas are kind of the same too. And we have to have a stepping stone in between. And what I love about mobile homes is that it's a hybrid of both. You have the um, actually, when you let's say they're purchasing a single family home, it would be about, like, let's say 10% is $150,000. Their mortgage and monthly payment would be like $8,000 or $9,000. That's not something that's really attainable for middle class workers or middle income earners. Now, if we look at a mobile home element in our area, it's a hybrid ownership. A lot of the benefits of home ownership are appreciation, are leveraging a loan to build your net worth. It's getting tax benefits, but those aren't attainable unless you own a home. Now, when you go to owning a mobile home, you get a lot of those benefits. You get to leverage a loan, you get to appreciation of value, and you also get the tax benefits as well. So, but it's more attainable. So the median mobile home price here is about 350,000. The 10% of that would be about $35,000, and their mortgage or their space rent on the land would be about $1,000. Their mortgage would be about $2,600. So in total, they're paying about $3,600 a month, which is just a little bit more than what you're paying for renting an apartment, but you're getting those benefits and you're starting your personal cash flow buildup. You've improved your personal family's cash flow, and 3 or 5 years later down the line, you have an asset that you can sell. You also have less taxes that you've been obligated to pay, and which is allowed for you to be able to sell that and have more money in the bank to purchase single family home later for if that's something that you wanted to do. But it's understanding that we have to take things in phases and steps. And if we don't have a smaller step to get ahead, that gap of one day owning a piece of real estate is a moving target, and it's going to keep going up, right? And and
It does.
it's all about what can we attain at this moment. How can we improve our personal cash flow at this moment? And is the mobile home the right thing for your family? You should at least have it in your consideration, because it's helping so many people in our area and so many people in other areas as well.
It makes sense. And it does. It fills in that middle ground. I love how you describe that so carefully, right? Like you can be a renter or you can
Mhm.
own, but there's this big gap, right? Because the cost of paying on a $1.5 million mortgage, right, is anywhere from
Mhm.
$5,000 to $7,000 versus being able to pay rent for the same house, which you now can't afford to buy. It's going to bring you 35. You can pay rent at
Mhm.
35. Well, you're going to rent all day long, right? Because that's what you've got. But you've got this middle ground. Right? And you're right. Condos try to fill that middle ground, but now mobile homes allow you the same, like, I don't know, it allows you more privacy because you have your own walls. It allows you to have a little bit of space in front and behind. It allows you to have an appreciating asset,
Yeah.
just like a condo would be able to. So you actually can have that middle ground. But what I like about mobile homes more than condos is you're
Mhm.
right up against other people in condos. Mobile homes allow you
Yeah.
to have a
You
sense of
don't.
a home,
You have your own privacy.
a
You don't hear
home,
what your neighbors are doing, that sort of thing. The lifestyle element. And I guess first
right?
thing too is that, those numbers I was saying are very unique to the California market, but it's the same in like Texas and Atlanta and that sort of thing,
They are
where yeah. So like in
major cities.
Austin, for example, if the median price is 500, rent is about 1,800, and then you'll have mobile homes for about 170. But it's still a stepping stone for people. And then the other is, you touched on the lifestyle of it, right? Is most people perceive that mobile home parks or a bad community or that sort of thing. Whereas, like, we have to understand, like, just like apartments, there's apartments complexes that you don't want your kids going around. It's unsafe and that sort of thing. But there's also luxury style apartments that are like a resort. And it's the same thing with mobile home parks. Yes, there are mobile home parks that might be bad, but there's a full spectrum. There's beautiful ones, very safe, very, very luxurious resort like communities with swimming pools, ponds, dog parks, and that sort of thing. And they shouldn't all be written off as this bad stigma thing, when it's a great place to live and stay close to where you want to live as well. And you touched on the lifestyle of the home
Yeah.
itself too. We have, I have many families, and it's interesting because it comes from both ends. We have retirees where their kids moved out and they want something low maintenance and easy to maintain, and smaller. And then we have people that want to have it as their first level of home ownership. And they have a parking right next to their home. They don't have to worry about sharing a garage and that sort of thing, and going up an elevator, or worrying about who's upstairs or downstairs and that sort of thing. And it's the level of what we build now. And I do a lot of stuff at DC with, when it comes to building, how the quality of this home is. And you can see it on our website or our YouTube channel of how they're built as well. But these are not
Mhm.
thin walls. They're 2x4 exteriors. They're 2x6 foundation. And they're of a high level of quality as well. And I think that's what people should really realize.
Yeah, and then you don't get to customize a condo that way, but you do get to
Yeah.
customize what you guys are offering that way. So I always like to do this towards the end. Tell me about a deal that went wrong, and how did either you fit? Like, we all have been investing in real estate for a while. Something's gone wrong along the way. And what is it in you? How'd you fix it? And what did you learn from it that helped you be a stronger person and a better investor? So tell me about something that went wrong, how you fixed it, what did you learn from it that helped you be a better investor in the
There's
result?
a really something came to mind, but there's so one
That's
thing
good.
about mobile homes, and mind you, I never really went to college or business school, and when when we first started, we've really done a lot of MVPs and built only the few things that we needed to get established. Um, and I say that because when we did our third or fourth mobile home, all of our funds from our investors, we finally got rolling. We put into this next project, and being mobile, these homes are transported on the freeway, and there's accidents on the freeway, and this home
Yes.
tumbled over and got in an accident, and it was a nightmare. I was, we it was a all of our funds were in there. We weren't sure if we were going to make it past it, uh, that sort of thing. And I
Wow.
think one of the things too is being who I am. I know that no matter what, if I owe a debt to somebody, I'm going to make sure to get them what they need. And I think that relationship and that trust that I had with my investors I was really fortunate for it at that time. But oh, the reason why I mentioned the business part was we didn't have insurance at that time for some weird reason. Of course now, of course now we have that, but it became,
Right.
fortunately we were able to get kind of a bridge loan situation, and I was able to pay back all our investors that were due for that, and we got over that hump. And it allowed for us to really
Mm.
realize and take a deep look, like, hey, anything can happen. How do we have to protect ourselves to make sure our business doesn't ever have to go through that again, right? And yeah, so that was a big problem we had to come across, but a lot learned from there, because it was a whole like year of trying to make that problem go away. But yeah,
So what'd you learn beyond the always have insurance?
it was
Obviously, you
that.
always have insurance.
It was a mix of that,
Ah,
and I
crap.
think also always doing the right thing. I could have easily tried to hide and
Yeah.
just file bankruptcy or whatever might have been the worst repercussions. But I think it was part of what we talked about is my purpose and my knowing my why, and knowing I want that the value of that we're creating for a specific family. Like, it was all of those combined that made me brave enough to try to want to figure this out. I have to figure this out because I know families need this, right? And I had to, like I said, I had to talk to people I didn't want to talk to. I had to ask for loans that I didn't want, or that I didn't want help from. But because I think the underlying thing is that having that purpose behind anything is what allows me to have that grit, allows me to have that thick skin, to know that I will do whatever it takes to help families be able to get that get a home affordability. And part of it's because I've been there, I've been through that. It was the hardest part of my life, and I know that if I just make their life a little bit easier, that to me is worth any fear
Mhm.
that I have, any pain that I don't want, any task I don't want to overcome. I can always look back at that and say, nope, my feelings aren't worth enough for me to not be able to help a family, right? So that's kind of how I see things.
Nice answer. Wow. You got me in tears again. I mean, it's just our why is so important, and it's just it's almost always about something greater than ourselves is what I've noticed. And you just said that so beautifully. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you very much. My last question is generally, what does financial freedom mean to you? So when you envision financial freedom, what does that mean? Because you were spending a lot of time trying to offer
uh-huh.
that to yourself and other
That's a
people.
tough one. I think financial freedom really is the new sense of freedom. I think, back we had a fight, our history, we had a fight for freedom, but now we have to have that same amount of energy to protect financial opportunity for all. I think it is an unfortunate world that we don't choose to realize that, unfortunately, there's a lot of families out there that don't have the opportunity. If they wanted to fight to build their wealth, do they have the same opportunities as others? I don't think so. And I want to protect that gap. I'm not saying that everyone should chase that financial freedom, but for those that want to, they don't have. the opportunities that they should. And to me, financial freedom for my family was feeling secure, and it's just feeling that I can support a family. And if people want that, they should have a way to fight for that. um, I think it's generational wealth for those. There's so many good caring people out there in the middle class or low income, and I just feel like if we empower them, they will somehow make the world a better place as well. They will be driven, like I was, to do something else to improve a charity or whatever it is as well. And these caring people, knowing that I'm empowering them to be financially free, can have a long-term trickle effect. And I think it should be available to everybody.
Thank you, Franco. I love it. How do people get a hold of you? Thank you for your honesty, your transparency, your willingness to be in an authentic moment with me. We've talked about a lot of things that to me were very touching, and so
Oh,
I just got
thanks
to
so
thank you for
much.
your being. Thank you for that. How do people get a hold of you? They want to buy a mobile home. They want to invest in your next
Yeah.
project. How do people get a hold of you?
Well, all of our links are on www.franco.tv, or you can Google our YouTube channel at Franco Mobile Homes. You can find us there. We really don't try to sell anything. We really just more about educating what this is, whether it's through us or anyone else. I just feel like people should know that this option is out there. People should know the quality of the homes. They should know, like, what are those financial education pieces that I wish I knew when I was super poor. And we try to pump that out there on our YouTube channel and make it educational, and help clarify and simplify these concepts so that a family can understand and maybe one day start their home ownership journey. But yeah, you can Google us and find us on YouTube or Instagram and all of that stuff.
Thank you. Franco Perez, you can find him mobile home expert and builder, and you can find him, like he said, on franco.tv and Franco Mobile Homes. Let's see, it's francomobilehomes.com. This is Christina Suter. Ask Christina, my old show is Ask Christina First. This is Christina Suter. You can find me on iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon TV, Roku TV, lots of different platforms. I'm easy to find, and I'm always deep invested in your education. So make sure you tune in next time.